Really nice pair of females here. I think the black heifer is pretty dominant in this particular class from just a balance and look standpoint. I think one that comes in and can grab some ground and really give you just a sharp look here from the side. She's very attractive about her head and her neck. Still good in terms of her lines and her balance. You get on top of her, there's still some power there too. Nice place to start in this class. Baldy heifer here in two, really dimensional in terms of shape and power on top of her. Really stout and massive in terms of just her hip and her quarter there. A female we could soften up in terms of her center body, make her just a shot more attractive off her hip and hind leg on the go. But another one here that's very good and to be second in this particular class. Good job, bud.
Thank you, Judge. Results from Class 9. First place, Paisley Lightfoot, Needville FFA. Second place, Ari Perkins, Brazos Wood FFA. Now entering the ring on our Simbrah side, Class 10. 2 entries in Class 10. Calving range from June 6, 2024 to May 14, 2024.
Good pair of females here in a Simbrah side, and the red heifer that's going to win, there's just enough more of her. You study this from width and dimension standpoint, she is impressive. This is a broad built one here that's got a ton of shape in terms of her center body, yet can still get out and go and cover some ground. She's maybe not as dead level from hooks to pins as the one that's in second, but I think that one just has the sheer advantage of performance and power and mass in this particular class. Good one here, the brockle-headed one here coming second. Very balanced in terms of her top line, very level out of her hip. She's nice in terms of her rib cage. She too's good in terms of her structure. I think you compare the one right ahead of her, there's just simply not as much heifer out here today, so it makes it very, very challenging in this class to sort them, but I do appreciate both of them a ton, just enough more in the red one to go ahead and win. Congratulations, girls. Awesome job.
Results from Class 10.
Out here, every acre has a story. It's where families work hard, plan, and take pride in what they do. Whether you're buying your first place, expanding your operation, or just getting through another season, we're here to help you grow, one good decision at a time. The leader in ag lending throughout Texas and New Mexico, Ag Trust Farm Credit.
Second place, Ari Perkins. And out of Class 10, first place, Ellert Charlie. And second place, Ely Petrosh.
Very good division of Simbrah females on this side. Exciting to get them back out here. Let's put our hands together if we could for this division of kids and cattle. Awesome job. We started off here in this division with a really neat class winner, and I think one that you get her back out here I'm still extremely fond of from a structure standpoint, a bone and foot, and just get out and cover some ground. This black heifer that wins the first class is so neat. One that's just attractive still yet about her head and neck. It's so good in her top line and the way she can get out of her hip and her hind leg. Still very opened up in terms of her center body. She'll push a little chest forward there. I don't think it bothers her balance at all out here because she still ties her head and neck extremely high. Good heifer to win that class. Black Baldy heifer here that wins the second class at the stand, is so fun to look at. awesome in terms of her top line, so square and good out of her hip, really nice in terms of her body cavity. You know, you ask yourself when you set her in motion, is she just long enough stepping? You know, I don't know as compared to a few of them out here, but I do think that one's balance is so good. I think she's stout when you get right on top of her, does some things extremely well. Black heifer that wins the third class is long-bodied. She's extended up front. Very neat in terms of just her hip and hind leg structure. Out here, is there as much animal as the ones on either side of her? Probably not. We could open her up, make her a shot stouter, just make her a shot more dimensional in terms of her kind, but a good female there. Then we got into that final class, big, broody red heifer here that wins that class, and one that, as far as width and dimension and power goes, she's got the advantage out here. There's a lot of cow when you get right in on top of this one. Now when you get to breaking her down, I'd like to just lengthen her and level her out of her hip. I'd like to tuck her in her shoulder ever so slightly, and I think she goes well for how much cow there is here. Probably to just make her a shot more attractive here from the side. So for me, I think there's one that's pretty dominant out here that's the right condition, the right look, and yet still a lap them on the go. Let's congratulate the young man up front and still be champion.
A good set of heifers over here on the Brahman side. Took a little time on the top end of this class because
Out here, every acre has a story. It's where families work hard, plan, and take pride in what they do. Whether you're buying your first place, expanding your operation, or just getting through another season, we're here to help you grow, one good decision at a time. The leader in ag lending throughout Texas and New Mexico, Ag Trust Farm Credit.
up front, her extension, the way she ties her neck to the top side of her shoulder is good. I think in terms of her lower joint work, she's still comfortable. She's still flexible. She could be just a little leveler out of her hip, but I think that heifer's really nice and put together. Some of the things that I liked about some of the other cattle that came after her. I think the heifer that comes in second probably reads just a little more of a broody cow type to me, and I think just rib and body type and flexibility in her is where she kept working on up the line. Now, where we can get a little bit critical on her is she gets a little frailer in her hind leg. We could clean her up at the base of her chest and level her out of her hip just a little bit there, but I loved her flexibility. I liked her body type and substance whenever we watched the cattle in motion. I just thought in terms of lower joint work, she was really, really nice there. I liked a lot of things about this heifer, and she hit me really hard whenever she came in, especially whenever you get her stopped and put together. Everything blends and transitions so seamlessly and so smooth in her. For me, I didn't know she was just quite as stout and powerful as our class winner. I didn't know she was quite as overwhelming in terms of her forerib and her body type as that heifer in second. She gets just a little frailer, and she can get just a little more awkward in motion the way she gets out and uses her lower joint work. But man, she is beautiful presented. I love her look of quality up front. Everything transitions and blends seamlessly at the standstill. I just had those couple little things that we could pick on her for. A lot of things about this heifer I like as well. She's long-necked. I think she's got some dimension from behind. As we got down and sorting the top end of that class there, I thought she probably gave up as much forerib and just boldness and center body there, and then stepping behind her, we could level her out just a little bit of her hip as well. She'll get where she wants to set just a little straighter in her hind leg as she rolls and gets a little rounder there. So just those couple of little things in her. A heifer that was not wanting to cooperate. When she does, I like a lot of things about her, but she wants to fight the halter so bad it makes it a little tough to get a good read on her, and I think she too can get just a little rounder out of her hip, get a little extra set to her hind leg. A really good looking, attractive heifer that comes next that's good in terms of her build, a little bit too frail on her foot and her bone. She needs to be quite a bit stouter down low. A heifer that comes next that I think is really solid, really, and pretty complete. I just didn't know if she had as much quality as the ones that went out in front of her. She gets just a little more uncoordinated in motion, not quite as attractive attractive in the way she uses her hip and her hind leg. A really stout, powerful heifer that comes next. I thought she got just a little bit too round in her shoulder, a little too round out of her hip, and she falls apart at the standstill just a little bit more. Big, bold-bodied heifer that I think looks really broody, just a little plainer out here. And as we work on down the line, some cattle that we could change just a little bit where they're a shot more attractive in motion, or maybe some cattle that give up just a little bit more substance, rib, and body type that make them just a little less competitive here in a really, really good class. Congratulations, all of our exhibitors. That was a big class and a lot of good cattle. If you would, congratulate all of our exhibitors.
Thank you, Macy. Over on our Simbrah side, we completed our junior heifer drive. Our grand champion junior heifer in the Simbrah breed is Caden Pelot from Columbus FFA. Our reserve grand champion junior heifer is Sydney Petrash from Sealy FFA. Congratulations to you guys. Now in the ring on our Simbrah side is Class 13. 5 entries in Class 13 with birth dates ranging from April 15th to March 15th, 2024. Results from our Brahman ring on Class 8. Out of Class 8, first place, Brody Prop, Shiner FFA. Second place, Macy Thigpen, Victoria FFA. Third place, Grayson Hinsey, Brenham FFA. Fourth place, Levi Risner, Wallace FFA. Fifth place, Savannah Remy, Tidehaven FFA. Sixth place, Sebastian Santa Cruz, Victoria County 4-H. Seventh place, Presley LaRue, Deer Park FFA. Eighth place, McKinley Marr, Brazoria County 4-H. Ninth place, Ryan Simpson, Cameron County 4-H. And 10th place, Savannah Remy, Tidehaven FFA. Now entering the ring on our Brahman side is Class 9. 8 entries in Class 9 with birth dates ranging from August 27th to July 2nd, 2024.
Nice class of females here, and some give and take, I think, throughout the class. For me, they're pretty commanding class winner. Young lady gets this one stopped at the stand. Here's one that's opened up. She's broad and gives you a really, really good look here from the side. She's neat and attractive up through her front end, yet still has some power down her top and shape to her body. She's got the advantage of being fuller in her forerib, stouter and squarer out of her hip. Gives you an awesome look here from the side. Red heifer here in 2 is very neat, and obviously getting farther along here in terms of ready to have a baby, and one you certainly appreciate for how fresh she is in her condition. She's neat up through her front end. There's not as much mass and power and forerib as what's in our class winner. I do appreciate the bone and foot size underneath this one. She's still level out of her hip and gives you a nice look. Just needs to be more of this one compared to our class winner. We too could just change her in terms of her front teat placement and her size of that compared to the one that wins, but a good heifer there in her own right. Black Baldy here coming next is a good brood cow in the making. Big rib, nice female here that's going to make an awesome kind of a cow for this young lady. Out here, she's not as sharp in terms of her lines, not as neat out of her hip, probably not as attractive up through her front end. Like the teat placement underneath that one, she's going to be a very, very good mama cow here in the very near future. Just could make her a shot more attractive as compared to the 2 right up front. Good red and white heifer here, obviously a little different as far as type and kind goes. She's one that's long and level down her top and neat up through her front end. We could pick her up and square her up out of her hip and just give her a shot more bone and substance as compared to them cattle up front. But a good female there, I think he's going to have a lot of fun generating with on down in the future. Black Baldy heifer here, it's going to round out the class. A nice heifer out here in this lineup. There just needs to be more of her from a body and shape and dimension standpoint. She's just a shot pounds light out here as compared to these ones up front, but I think she's built good. She's got bone and substance and foot size. Just needs to be a shot more of her. Good class of Simbrahs. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
Results from Class 13 Simbrahs. First place, Kate Martin, Brenham FFA. Second place, Mallory Fitzgerald, Hardin FFA. Third place, Madeline Valise, Klein Kane FFA. Fourth place, Aiden Hacker, Foster FFA. And fifth place, Leah Barth, Karnes County 4-H. Now entering the ring on our Simbrah site is Class 14. 2 entries in Class 14 with birth dates that range from February 16th to February 8th, 2024.
Got a good pair here in this class, and I think kind of a commanding class winner here. The young lady's female that's going to win. There's just enough more of her from a rib and body and volume standpoint. Love this one's width and dimension when you get right on top of her, yet I still think she's very sound and flexible off her hip and hind leg. Good place to start in this class. The young man's red heifer here in 2 is very nice as well. Moderate size female that has some shape and dimension. When you get right on top of her, we could square her up out of her hip, and I think the biggest thing is just be more of her out here from a depth of body and shape to her rib cage. I do like that one's muscle and kind long term to raise them. Good job, guys, on a great pair of Simbrah females.
Results from class.
Out here, every acre has a story. It's where families work hard, plan, and take pride in what they do. Whether you're buying your first place, expanding your operation, or just getting through another season, we're here to help you grow, one good decision at a time. The leader in ag lending throughout Texas and New Mexico, Ag Trust Farm Credit.
Land on the red heifer in here to lead off, and I thought for me, whenever we got off and stepped off to the side of him, she just reads with the most quality to me personally in terms of the way she pieces together in her silhouette from the side. I probably like her in the heifer that comes behind her, and I think our class winner maybe's got a shot more bone, and I think whenever we get her out, she's probably just a little more comfortable in the way she gets out and uses her lower joint work and stays probably just a little more consistent in the way she transitions down her top and out of her hips. So I like her. She could be powered up maybe just a little bit from behind, but I think still very, very nice. The heifer that comes in second, she is bold-bodied, and I love her substance from behind. She's still extended up front. I thought for me, for as much substance as she has up high, maybe you could stouten her up just a little bit down low, and then in motion, I thought she struggled just a little bit more to get out of her front end and get going. She doesn't maintain her balance that she has at the standstill just quite as well whenever we study the cattle in motion. The heifer that comes in third, whenever she stopped and set up and I studied the cattle, pulled into the fence, she's got a good shape and she's got some dimension from behind. I love her moderation. She's still got some extension. You do a good job of keeping her loined, but she really wants to roll up and she plants the straightest in her hind leg. Need to relax her just a little bit there in her hock. And then I thought, in addition to that, of the top three, I think she probably gives up the most center body, like depth through her heart, back to her rear rib and flank, but still very, very nice. A big, high-performing heifer that does have a ton of substance. Didn't think she pieced it together with just as much quality and unique balance from the side as the ones that go out in front of her. And kind of same thing for the one that comes next. Moderate. She's got some substance and dimension. She's deepest at the base of her chest. Wants to cut up to her flank. Throws her out of balance just a little bit from the side. The heifer that comes next, strong in terms of her top line, little frailer in her foot and her bone, deeper in her chest. And then we've got a red heifer that comes next that I think has some quality, some upside, pretty green in here and probably gives up the most substance. And then we round out the class with the heifer again. Just needs some more center body to balance her out, level her out of her hip just a little bit more. That was a good class there, especially on the top end, some give and take, but congratulations to each of them.
Your results from Class 9 Brahmans. First place, Ella Pirtle, Henderson FFA. Second, Abigail Nunez, Victoria County 4-H. Third, Leighton Joe Jefferson, Danbury FFA. Fourth, Kinley Baird, Chillicothe FFA. Fifth, Addison Gary, Cleburne FFA. Sixth, Sarah Ratton, Chirino FFA. Seventh, Keegan Welch, Godley FFA. And eighth, Stephanie Starks, McLennan County 4-H. Now entering the ring is Class 10 on your Brahman side. 12 entries in Class 10 with birth dates that range from June 20th to May 3rd, 2024.
Very neat division here in our final of the Simbrahs, and a good pair of class winners, good pair of seconds, and young ladies heifer that won the first class. Impressive when you get her out here at the stand. Here's the one that gives you such a dynamic look, especially up through her front end. I think this one's impressive when you get right on top of her, how stout and square she is down her top and out of her hip. Very opened up in terms of her forerib. I love the balance she has underneath there in terms of her chest to her midrib to her rear rib and flank. Yeah, it looks like she's starting to make a nice udder underneath of her. You know, we set her in motion. She wants to roll up in her back ever so slightly, and I think that's the one that wins the second class, has that advantage. Right out of the backside of her shoulder, she'll punch up there just a little bit. If we could relax her there, I think it becomes a no-brainer out here. That's a very, very good heifer to win that class. The one that wins the second class, really sound and functional. Love the way she uses her hip and hind leg, can get out and go, cover some ground. This is a good heifer as far as power and dimension goes when you get right on top of her. You ask yourself out here, is there enough look and presence here from the side, up front, through her chest floor, up through her front end? Is she just as dead level in terms of her look and balance here as far as her top and bottom line goes? But that's still a very, very good female there. I think is extremely functional in terms of her structure. Good pair of seconds as well. Maybe could be stoutened up a shot. Maybe could just have a little more look, but both are very, very good females. Help me congratulate these kids one time out here if we can. Young lady out of first class will be your champion. Young lady out of the second class will be reserved.
In our Simbrah ring, our champion senior heifer goes to Kate Martin. Our reserve champion senior heifer is Hallie Orth. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Coming in the ring now will be our overall Simbrah drive. Out of our heifer calf division, your champion heifer calf was Emily Birch. Reserve was Cannon Hill. Out of our junior heifer division, your champion junior heifer was Caden Pelot. Your reserve champion junior heifer was Sydney Petrash. And then coming back out of our senior division, your champion senior heifer was Kate Martin. Your reserve senior heifer was Hallie Orth.
Well, if we could one time here, let's put our hands together here for our Simbrah exhibitors. Awesome job, guys. Very, very good set of kids, very good set of cattle. Awesome for me to get to stand out here and sort through them. There's been a lot of differences in give and take within the classes and divisions, but so pleased when we get these three division winners and reserves back out here. This is a ton of fun to get to sort them and break them down. We had a really neat pair of them here that won that first class, and the young lady's black heifer here up front is one that, you get her back out here and she's just so complete. Is she ESTs in any one area, the stoutest, the this, the that, or the other? Probably not, but this one's so nice in terms of her balance, so good in terms of her look about her shoulder and up through her front end, like this one in terms of her structure. You ask yourself, will this one get it in the future? And I think she will. I think as time progresses on, this one broadens out and gets wider and does the right things. That's a very, very high-end, high-quality one there that gives you such a nice look. Boy, the one out of the middle division here is neat, and this one is absolutely awesome in terms of her hip and hind leg and just the way that she can get out and cover ground. That is some big bones with big feet underneath of them there that uses it extremely well. I like where her hip goes and how it just gets out and works. She's still very good in terms of her body shape and her cavity there. She's a neat female from her shoulder forward. Talk to her in class and in division and maybe pushing a little chest through the front side of it. I don't think it hurts her underlying balance at all. It's just a little bit there in the front side of it as well. But that's a stout cow there that can get out and go and still gives you a nice look. Talked to one in the final division just a second ago and love that one at the stand. Very sharp and attractive up through her front end. So stout and powerful and square when you get right on top of her. She's good down her top and out of her hip. Has some shape and center body and dimension to her. Set her in motion, as compared to these two that are extremely athletic right ahead of her. She'll roll up there in her spine ever so slightly and be just a little shorter in her step. That's being very critical on one that's extremely good. And so there's some decisions to be made out here. There's one that hit me extremely hard from a flexibility, from a bone and power and substance standpoint. Let's congratulate the young man out of the middle division as he'll have your champion Simbrah female. This certainly doesn't make it any easier here with our black and white one as she comes in. This one gives you such a dynamic look here at the stand. Love her top line, love her out of her hip. She's good in terms of her body. That one compared to the one that wins and probably the one on either side of her, we could just hinge her just a little looser. She wants to get a little more vertical there in terms of her shoulder. Just hinge her a little looser off both ends of her skeleton. I keep going back to one that I think is hard to pick a hole in. Young lady out of the first division, you're going to be reserved. Congratulations.
On our Simbrah side, your grand champion, overall Simbrah, shown by Caden Pilot from Columbus FFA with your champion junior heifer. Your reserve champion Simbrah comes out of our heifer calf division. That's Emily Birch from Waller County 4-H. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Coming in on our western ring now will be the ARBs. Class 1 ARBs, we have 11 entries ranging from June 15th to April 6th, 2025. Also, if you guys were able to win a breed champion or reserve today, please make sure you bring your bios up to the announcer stand so that we can have that for the grand drive. If you did get grand or reserve breed champion today, please make sure you turn your bios into the announcer stand so we can have those for the grand drive. Also, as we sit here ringside, I just want everybody around to join me in giving a big round of applause to the Sam Houston State interns that have helped us unload and work in the show ring today. They've done a lot and put in a lot of extra time. So if you guys could join me, putting your hands together for Sam Houston and their great set of interns.
Well, a good class over here, and again, I think there's some spots where there's some give and take, but for me personally, I think the red heifer has to win this class, and I think she's very, very nice, and I don't know if it matters if it's at the standstill, in motion, from the side, from behind. She's my favorite. I think in terms of her balance, just her top line consistency is so good in the way she comes out of the backside of her shoulder. She's longer and leveler than the heifer that comes behind her. In the way she comes out of her hips, she's the stoutest in her foot and her bone, and probably my favorite in the way she uses her lower joint work. So for me, that heifer wins this class pretty comfortably, and I'll be excited to see her back in a little bit, because I thought after that there was some give and take, some different types and kinds. The heifer that wound up second, I thought whenever you got in behind her, she's stout and she's powerful. She's got some natural dimension. I still think she's got some extension up front, and I probably thought relative to the heifer that came behind her, a little more attractive up front, pretty powerful from behind. She gets just a little rounder out of her hip there. We could make her just a little more consistent, a little longer and leveler there, but I liked her stoutness and her power, and still with that, I think she's got an attractive look up front. Just make her a little leveler out of her hip. Other than that, I think she's very, very nice. A moderate, bold-bodied heifer that comes in third. You do an awesome job of putting her together and getting her presented out here. I do like her moderation, and I do like her substance, but I think with that, she can look just a little cuter, a little smaller. She gets a little rounder in her shoulder, a little rounder out of her hip as well, and you do the best job of keeping her loined, but naturally, she just wants to do that, so she can look just a little cuter, but I do appreciate her moderation and her substance. A lot of look and quality in the heifer that comes next, and she is longer and more extended up front. I think she probably stays just a little more consistent in terms of her balance out of her hip. I just thought of those top four, she became the frailest in her foot and her bone work, and gave up the most stoutness down at her foundation. A really broody, maternal made heifer that comes next. It's good bodied, she's functional, she's good structured, just a little plainer at the base of her chest. I didn't know if she was quite as powerful just whenever you step in right behind her, but good bodied and really, really sound. The heifer that comes next, another one I think that's very complete in terms of her build. She's got some body type. She wants to get just a little bit rounder there out of her hip. I didn't know she hit me just with the extras that some of those cattle that went out at the top end of the class had, but I do think she's got some extension. I think structurally she's functional, just maybe not the most attractive, and we could open her up just a little bit whenever we step in behind her. She gets just a little more closed up. Heifer that comes next that does have some substance and power, doesn't get out of her front end quite as good, gets just a little rounder out of her hip. Another heifer that's just a little more jammed up front, doesn't balance quite as well. And then we get into some cattle that have some quality. The heifer that goes out right there, the gray one, she needs just a little more body to go with her frame. She looks a little shallower. One we need to change structurally just a little bit so she's a shot more comfortable and balances better. And as we get down the line, still some good cattle that give up some substance and some power. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Really, really nice class.
Your results from Class 10 Brahmins. First place, Madison Parker, Liberty FFA. Second place, Claire Conley, Victoria County, 4-H. Third place, Jeremy Lard, Dickinson FFA. Fourth place, Lacey Bailey, Freestone County, 4-H. Fifth place, Hudson Pop, Lavaca County, 4-H. Sixth place, Caitlin Snyder, Giddings FFA. Seventh, Lena Rumke, Washington County, 4-H. And eighth, Lillian Fordle, Wortham FFA. Now entering the ring on our Brahman side is our junior heifer or junior division drive. So out of Class 9, first place, Ella Pirtle. Second place, Abigail Nunez. Representing Class 10, oh, excuse me, I missed a couple classes there. Out of Class 7, first place, Mallory Walker, Groveton FFA. Second, Grayson Hinsey, Brenham FFA. Out of Class 8, Brody Prop, Shiner FFA. Second place, Macy Thigpen, Victoria FFA. Out of Class 9, your first place was Ella Pirtle, Henderson FFA, and your second place was Abigail Nunez, Victoria County, 4-H. And then Class 10, your first place, Madison Parker, Liberty FFA, and your second place is Claire Conley, Victoria County, 4-H.
Well, a good set of heifers over here as we work into our junior division drive. I'm not going to go back through and talk about them so we can try to keep things moving along here, but we've got a good set of heifers out here on the front line and a good set of seconds behind them. And for me, whenever we come back out here, there's a heifer that, for me, I'm very comfortable with winning. And I think, to be honest, she absolutely has to, in my mind. And I think she does a lot of things that's really, really impressive and has hit me probably as hard as anything that we've seen throughout the show. And then I think for reserve, the decision gets just a little bit closer between a handful of them. For me, the young lady out of the last class needs to win the division here. Congratulations.
Your junior division results on the Brahman side. Your champion junior heifer was Madison Parker, Liberty FFA. Your reserve champion junior heifer was Brody Pop, Shiner FFA. Congratulations to you exhibitors. Now entering the ring on the Brahman side, Class 13. There's 20 entries in Class 13 with birth dates that range from April 30th to March 11th, 2024. Attention in the barn, attention in the barn. We will do the Supreme American Drive 30 minutes after the conclusion of the last breed. We will do the Supreme American Drive 30 minutes after the conclusion of the last breed. Thank you.
Very fun way to kick off our ARBs here. Awesome class, and certainly want to commend these exhibitors on bringing a very, very high-quality set of show heifers to the show here. That being said, I think there's one, a white-legged one here, pretty commanding when she hits the ring. This one's fun to look at from a bone and substance and foot standpoint. Can get out and grab some ground. Really just proud and arrogant up through her front end. Gives you such a nice look there. Big in terms of her rib cage. Very, very good place to start. Congratulations on a high-quality female. Good heifers here in 2, 3, and 4, and I like the kind of this 1 and 2. I think she matches our class winner very well from her density standpoint, from being wide and wide built and really, really stout when you get on top of her. Young lady gets her put together. I think she's nice down her top and out of her hip. very bold in terms of her center body, uses her hind leg extremely well. She's not as neat and attractive up through her shoulder and her front end as their class winner, but I think that's a very, very high quality animal there to be in too. Young lady, you got a good one here, and I think on down the road, this is going to be a high quality one. I love her balance, love her look from the side, strong topped and awesome out of her hip, uses her hind leg extremely well. Very good in terms of her proportions from her chest back through her rear rib and flank. Out here, there needs to be a shot more of her just from a natural width and dimension standpoint. We could probably stouten her up in her bone work as well. I wouldn't bet against that one in the future, though. I think that'll be a very high-quality female when the smoke clears. Good red heifer coming next, one that's different as far as her type and kind goes. She's a little boxier in terms of her build. Still have to appreciate that one's kind, though, for being stout and opened up, really round and bold in terms of her rib cage. Need to level her out of her hip. Need to just change her off her hind leg ever so slightly to run with them cattle up front. But, hey, that one's really, really powerful. I think that one would be fun to raise some stuff with on down the road. Good heifer there in her own right. We're getting in some cattle next. The black heifer and the gold heifer, both of them are extremely nice. They're long pattern females that are extremely good in terms of their structure. I like the black heifer here just being a little nicer in her top line, a little nicer out of her hip. She gets a little plainer from her shoulder forward. I think we could just let her go off her hind leg just a little easier. Gold heifer's good. She probably does take a little longer step than the one right ahead of her. Not as soft through the middle part of her body as the one right in front of her. Boy, the black heifer coming next. This young lady gets her stopped and put together. Sure can give you an awesome look. She's stout and square down her top and out of her hip. She has ribs. She has body. Just got to redesign her off her hind leg. Let her be a little more flexible there. Good pair of red ones coming next. They're sound in terms of their structure. Just need a shot more look and balance here from the side. We've got very good cattle all the way through here. They're females that I think are going to be good cows for these young exhibitors. Out here need a shot more look and balance. Need a shot more width and power. Very, very good job here and an awesome class of ARBs to start off our day.
Adams Fab. Established in 2007, they build custom livestock pinning and equipment to fit all your needs. Hanger feeder rods, adjustable slam gate latches, and skirted panels. It all comes standard. Custom pins made by hand and hot dipped galvanized so that you know that they're going to last. Adams Fab is a certified TIPS vendor and can design, fabricate, and install equipment to fit all your needs. Visit adamsfablivestock.com to get started today.
8th, Jax and Washington County 4-H. 9th, Emma Nugent, Brassport FFA. And 10th, John Biscoe. 11th, Ryan Ralston, Avery FFA. And 12th, Mason Cocheran, New Caney FFA. Now entering the ring on the ARB side, Class 2. 4 entries in Class 2, all calved in March of 25.
Another very high quality class here. Good pair of them up on top. I think within the pair, though, the young man's heifer silhouette's neat here from the side. Love how her neck shoots right high out the top side of her shoulder. I think from there back's very good in terms of her top line and how her hip all works. She can get out and go and cover some ground. There's still some rib and body and volume in that one. Very, very nice place to start here in this class. Good heifer here in second as well. She's a little shorter bodied, a little more compact than is our class winner, but certainly have to appreciate the kind that one has. Heavy boned and big footed kind of a female here that's still round in terms of her center body. Gives you a nice look when she's at the stand. Not as attractive up through her front end, maybe not as neat right off her hip and hind leg, but it's still a very, very high quality female to be second in this class. Kind of switch gears with these two. The next ones here, both of them are high quality females that are moderate, they're dense, they're wide. For me out here need just a shot more look and balance as compared to the two right ahead of them. I think they're cattle that are sure useful and going to make good cows for these young ladies. Just need a shot more, be a little more attractive here from the side. Good class. Congratulations to these exhibitors here in our ARBs.
Results from Class 2 ARBs. In first place, Tack Ferris, Anson FFA. Second place, Gretchen Merton, Washington County, 4-H. Third place, Rosalind Swenson, Nixon Smiley, FFA. And fourth place, Raven Cooley, Wise County, 4-H. Now coming in the ring on the ARB sides, Class 3. 4 entries in Class 3, all born in February of 25.
Fun class of these ARB females here. A very, very nice place to start. Young man's red heifer here that wins. Very, very good in terms of her look, her balance, her quality here. Highly presented, done an awesome job out here getting her ready for the show today. Gives you such a neat, fresh look up through her front end. Yet I think from there back, still very good in terms of her forerib, the shape to her body cavity. She's nice out of her hip and can get out and go, cover some ground. Good place to start. Young man, you got a very nice heifer here in 2 as well. This black heifer resembles our class winner a ton in terms of structure and balance and look here. Maybe not as sharp up through her front end, maybe not just as good in terms of being as uniform from her forerib back through her rear rib and flank. But that's still a functional female here that uses her feet and legs well. It's going to make an awesome cow for him in the future. I think it becomes very close between these ones in 3 and 4. I think the Tiger Strike female here is one for me. Just a little sounder out of her hip and off her hind leg, a little looser there in her construction. Maybe not as powered up, maybe not as attractive as the 2 right ahead of her, but I do think that female is very good in terms of her structure and her long-term build. The red baldy heifer here that's going to close is one that's big-bodied. She's nice in terms of her look here from the side. It's a little closed up here at the ground, like to just change her off her hip and hind leg as compared to the ones up front. Excellent class ARBs. Congratulations to all these kiddos.
Adams Fab. Established in 2007, they build custom livestock pinning and equipment to fit all your needs. Hanger feeder rods, adjustable slam gate latches, and skirted panels. It all comes standard. Custom pins made by hand and hot dipped galvanized so that you know that they're going to last. Adams Fab is a certified TIPS vendor and can design, fabricate, and install equipment to fit all your needs. Visit adamsfablivestock.com to get started today.
Well, a good class, and I really like a lot of heifers in here, but I would say these 2 on the top end hit me really, really hard whenever they first came in, and I like both of them a really good deal. The heifer we land on, though, in terms of my type and kind of cattle that I gravitate towards, I like that she comes with some extra stoutness, especially when you start at the ground. Stoutness of foot, heaviness of bone. You get in behind her, she's got some shape and some power and dimension, and still you step off to the side of her, and I think she's as good in terms of her balance as anything that we have out here at the front of the lineup. And so for me, that's where she becomes unique, is the way she blends some extra stoutness, some extra feature. It still stays good and flexible and attractive in her look from the side. If we would have just had this one to land on, I would have been really happy, because I like her a lot too, and she arguably blends everything together, the smoothest of anything that we have in here. She's attractive up front. She transitions from her shoulder into her forerib, I think, really well. She's not quite as stout as our class winner when you start at the ground, and I don't know that she's quite as overwhelming in her forerib and her center body, but really smooth, really refined and feminine. I like her a good deal. The heifer that comes in 3, very nice as well, and I think another one that's got some extension up front. She too's got some rib and some center body. Of those top 3, she probably becomes the frailest in terms of her bone work. She wants to roll just a little bit from time to time, and then whenever you step in behind her, I didn't read her just quite as opened up and quite as stout as the ones that went out in front of her. So just a collection of little things. They got her beat there, but still very, very nice heifer. The red heifer that comes next, extended, really long-necked, and ties it high to the top side of her shoulder. She never really wanted to settle down out here and just put herself together, and she stood kind of hunkered up, and she rolls out of her hip just a little bit. So I think if we could balance her up just a little bit better from her shoulder back, from her shoulder forward, she is very, very striking. The heifer that comes next, she is really good looking. She's collected and good in her top line. She's got some substance. I just wish she was stouter down low. She hits me just a little shallower and just too frail in her foot and her bone. If we can stouten her up down low, I think she can shuffle shuffle up several spots. A nice heifer that comes next, again, that's very functional, good bodied. She's got some stoutness of bone. I just didn't know she hit me quite as unique in terms of the way she blends everything together relative to the ones that go out in front of her. In motion, didn't get out of her front end just quite as attractively as some of those other ones. Another one that I think has some grow and some performance extension. I like that about her. She gets just a little shallower there in her forerib and her body type. We could give her just a little more center substance. A big boned heifer that comes next that's still really comfortable. She just falls apart a little bit too much at the standstill, ties her neck a little low, opens at the top side of her shoulder, comes apart in her top line too much. A moderate, bold-bodied heifer that comes next that's a little too jammed up front, a little too round out of her hip and just a shot too frail. And as we work down the line, we've got a pair of heifers that have got some substance, fall out of balance just a little bit in the way they piece together, and then some cattle that give up some substance as we work on down the line that just need a little bit more to them. Maybe we need to change them a shot structurally, or maybe their better days are on down the road still. So a good class of heifers there, especially at the top end. Congratulations to all of those exhibitors.
Thank you, Macy. Results from Class 13 Brahmins. In first place, Teal Cranky, East Chambers, FFA. Second place, Corrigan Ramirez, Victoria County, 4-H. Third, Cameron Rapowski, Liberty, FFA. Fourth, J.C. Garcia, Giddings, FFA. Fifth, Gunner Broadway, Longview, FFA. Sixth, Emma Piwanka, Tide Haven, FFA. Seventh, Dylan Schwepsher, Fayette County, 4-H. Eighth, Briggs Patson, Gonzales County, 4-H. Ninth, Leighton Joe Jefferson, Danbury, FFA. And 10th, Holly Devant, Tide Haven, FFA. Now entering the ring on the Brahman sides, Class 14. 3 entries in Class 14 with birth dates that range from January 8th to January 3rd, 2024.
Well, a good class that we have over here on the Brahman side, just 3 here in this set, and I think these come together really nicely, and I think you could probably talk about 2 and 3, but I do think the young ladies up front probably needs to just win in this class, and whenever you step off to the side, study them at the profile. She is, by some margin, the most attractive in the way she pieces together. She's really long-necked, and then as you study her down her top line, I think she's the best and the most consistent in the way she transitions and comes out of her hip. She just hits me out here with the most quality, the most presence. I like the moderation of the substance of the heifer that comes in second. She's good-bodied and maybe even holds a little bit of advantage over our class winner just in terms of stoutness and depth through her heart and her flank. I think with that, she gets just a little rounder in her shoulder, little rounder and shorter there out of her hip. If we can change those couple of things and she balances just a shot better, I think that becomes more competitive on the top end. Then we round out the class with, I think, a functional type of heifer that the young lady has. Whenever you step off the side, though, she's the deepest at the base of her chest and then cuts up too much, and then we could set her back just a little bit in her knee. She gets just a little straighter up front, and then it makes her roll up in her top line just a little bit more. That's a good set of heifers. Congratulations to all 3 of those young ladies.
results from Class 14. In first place, Rihanna Shepard, Fannondale FFA. Second place, Peyton Well, Bosqueville FFA. And third place, Cadence Gary, Cleburne FFA. Now coming in the ring on our Brahman sides, Class 15. 8 entries in Class 15, birth dates ranging from November 29th to September 2nd, 2023.
Champion Brahman. Second call. Second call for Captain Champion Brahman.
This is a really neat class of ARBs here, and a lot of give and take, and I can certainly tell you all the way throughout the class, fun to get to stand out here and evaluate them, fun to sort them. I think with that being said, there's a pair of them that, for me, that surface to the top from structure and balance and feet and legs and just being able to be long-term but yet still have enough look and power to go today. You know, the silver heifer, for me, when she first hits the ring, do you ask yourself, is she a little terminal? Is she a little boxy? You know, maybe even compared to a few of these other ones, but I think the longer she's out here, the more she grows on me. This thing is still so neat and maternal in terms of her head and the shape to her neck, yet she's great in terms of her forerib and the shape there to her center body and dimension, balance down her top and out of her hip. You set her in motion, I think she is the class leader in terms of flexibility off of both ends of her skeleton, especially out of her front end structure, the way she can get out and go and use her front end. Very high quality one there to go ahead and lead off the class. Congratulations. I like this red one in 2 as well. I love the length and extension she has up through her front end. So neat and ties so high up there. I think from there back still gives you a good silhouette here from the side. She is heavy boned and big footed, just like our class winner is. You know, you ask yourself, is there as much forerib, is there as much shape to this one's body as the one that leads off the class? Probably not. Doesn't bother me there in that area today. For me, she rocks forward there in her shoulder and her knee ever so slightly. If we could set her back there compared to our class winner, I think that one can rival. But hey, that's a very high quality one here to be second in this class. We switched speeds here in this 1 and 3. This is a moderate size one that's very boxy in terms of her kind. I love the shape and the width and power this one's got. Hey, this one will be fun to generate and raise them when you take her home. Out here, she gets a little coarser in her shoulder, a little more masculine there about the top side of her neck and her head. I'd like to refine her and make her a shot more feminine there. I think with that, when you study her structure, just let her get out and go and take a little longer stride off both ends of her skeleton at the stand. I love that one. I think that one generates and is a lot of fun in the future. Young man, you got a rougher haired heifer here that, you know, when you break down and study, you certainly have to appreciate this one. She's long neck. She's good and level down her top line. She's flexible out of her hip and off her hind leg. Biggest thing for me, there's not as much cow right through the center part of her body as the ones right ahead of her. We could open her up there in her forerib, give her a shot more shape to her rib cage. Hey, I think that one's going to be awfully nice, though, in the future. She's sound in terms of her structure, has a great look here from the side. Got a pair of them here coming next I think are extremely good as well. The black heifer here is one that's really big-bodied. She's dense when you get on top of her. Runs out of balance here from the side. I think with that, too, we could lengthen her out in terms of her step. The gold heifer coming next is a moderate size one here that's opened up and massive. Need to make her just a shot sounder the way she goes off her hip and hind leg. Very good pair of them here to close the class. I think it's one cattle that are sound and functional. For me, need a shot more look and balance, shot more body shape and dimension as well. But very good class ARBs. Congratulations to all those kids in this particular drive.
Out here, every acre has a story. It's where families work hard, plan, and take pride in what they do. Whether you're buying your first place, expanding your operation, or just getting through another season, we're here to help you grow, one good decision at a time. The leader in ag lending throughout Texas and New Mexico, Ag Trust Farm Credit.
8th, Zane Cook, Brazos Wood FFA, and 9th, Ariel Blethen, Needville FFA. Entering the ring on our ARB side is the Heifer Calf Drive. So out of Class 1, first place, Sophia Garza, Hidalgo County 4-H. Second place went to Emma Wiggins, Liberty FFA. Out of Class 2, first place, Tack Ferris, Anson FFA. Second, Gretchen Merton, Washington County 4-H. Coming out of Class 3, first place, Barrett Merton, Washington County 4-H. Second was Ramsey Road, San Jacinto County 4-H. And then representing Class 4, J.C. Collins was first out of Clayburgh, Kennedy County 4-H, and second was Laney Matchett, Van Vleck FFA.
Well, a good class here, and I think really nice heifers in here. But as we got down and we were studying the top end, I really wasn't paying a lot of attention to the heifer up front because I knew I wanted to use her to win. When she came in, she's as good in terms of her structure and her flexibility, I feel like, as anything that we've seen, and it's just effortless. And the way that she transitions and comes in her spine and her top line, I think she's as good in terms of her balance from the side as anything. And because she's so good and she's so comfortable down low, she maintains that just effortlessly in motion. And then you get in behind her, she's got the right kind of turn to her rib and her body type. She's got the right kind of dimension. She's still fresh and she's still attractive. So I think a really nice heifer to lead off in here, and she's dropping a really nice bag. Be excited to see her back here in just a little bit. I lapped them there at the end to take a look at 2 and 3 just a little bit closer. I think the heifer that ends up second, it just got a little more substance and stoutness to her, and I do like the way she comes out of the backside of her shoulder. She's strong and level there. She's got some turn to her forerib. I like her stoutness of bone. I didn't know if she was just quite as good in terms of her top line balance, the way she gets out in motion compared to our class winner. Just not quite as unique there, but still very functional and still really good. The heifer that's in third, compared to the one in front of her, is maybe even just a little more comfortable in the way she uses her lower joint work. I thought she just gave up a little bit of those top 3 in terms of center body substance, stoutness of bone work, but she's good looking and she's flexible, and I like those things about her quite a bit. The heifer that comes next has got some substance. She's got some rib and some body type. I think with that, she's pushing a little more condition at the base of her chest, throws off her balance just a little bit there. She wants to roll up and round out of her hip, and so at the base of her chest and the top side of her hip, those couple things just throw her out of balance a little bit out here. The heifer that comes next has got some quality up front. She's just a little bit too streamlined. I just want to see more center body substance there today. I thought she gave up quite a bit relative to those ones that went out in front of her. A nice heifer that comes next, I'd like to lay her back just a little bit in her front end ankle, lengthen her and level her out of her hip just a shot more, and open her up just a nickel bit from behind. The heifer that comes next, she too, we could change just a little bit in her front end structure so she's just a little more comfortable there, and then change her balance. She's the deepest at her chest, wants to cut up a little bit back into her flank. And then we round out the class with a heifer that just needs more body and substance. She looks just a little harder doing out here, but that was a good class, especially there on the top end. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Well, this ARB division here is an absolute blast for me to get to sort through. And as you can tell by the first 4 class winners and seconds, wow, the quality is incredible. If we could, let's put our hands together for an awesome division here of ARBs on this side. They're not cookie cutter. I'll be the first one to tell you they're not all the same, but that's okay. God made cattle in different shapes and sizes and kinds, and so everybody can have their favorites out here. I think for me, it's just about finding the best one and finding the one that I'm the happiest with. And to be honest, there's so many of them out here that are so good you could go a lot of different ways. This white-legged heifer that won the first class, boy, she come in swinging there in that particular class and drive. Boy, that one is. Back to the heifer here in the first class. She come in here swinging in that first particular class, and boy, she is just enamoring when she hits the ring. From a bone and foot size and substance standpoint, this heifer is so impressive, yet her joints are clean. She's smooth there in terms of her angles. She can get out and go and absolutely cover some ground. You know, at the stand, you'll look at her at times, and is she a little off behind her shoulder? Maybe. Is she as strong in her forerib as some, or a little rounder there in her shoulder? You know, this thing's pieces are wild, and they're out there. She's high tying up front, giant-legged, very, very sound in terms of her structure, big in terms of her mid-body. I would like to balance her up at the stand a shot and just square her up right behind her shoulder, tuck her in at the point of her shoulder ever so slightly. We got into that second class, and this is a nice pair of them here. Young man's got a good female that I think is very functional in terms of her type and kind. She's up-headed, she's long-necked, she's flexible in terms of her structure. You know, out here, is there extras from a bone and balance standpoint? Probably not. We could square her up out of her hip over so slightly as compared to a few of these, but I do think that's a high-quality one. It's going to make an awesome cow for him in the future. Got into the red one here next, and boy, that one come in that class as well. And from a presentation and just look standpoint, young man's done an awesome job with that one, and he's certainly got her on point out here. A female that's balanced up so well here from the side. Awesome in terms of her top line. Love the way her neck comes up out of her shoulder. Very fresh in terms of her condition and uniform in terms of her body depth. Now you ask yourself out here, is there enough of that one? Is there enough just sheer width and mass and power as compared to some of them? You know, I don't know, but I think that one is certainly high quality and definitely in the mix out here. Good place here, and they win that class. That last class was fun, and there was a lot of give and take, and boy, this silver heifer, the longer she goes, the more you just gravitate towards her. This is such a nice female out here from just a body shape, rib, and dimension standpoint, yet you study this one's joints and angles and the way that she can get out and go. They're so good. Very, very good out of her front end structure, yet uses her hip and hind leg so well. She's a female. A young lady gets her propped up and put together, gives you such a neat look up front. You know, at times she'll look a little different there from hooks to pins, and I'd like to jack her up and level her up out of her hip, but I think that's being very critical on one that's just extra complete. This division's been a blast. I think you could go a lot of different ways. I wouldn't argue with you. Come around here next fall or even this summer if they shake up and go a lot of different ways because these cattle are so good. For me, there's one I just keep going back to. Young lady with the silver one here is going to be champion.
Well, a good lineup as we get into our senior division over on the Brahman side. They've been really, really good. And we've got 3 class winners and set of seconds out here that I think are very impressive. And as I've walked through and studied them a little bit, I think that there's a decision that becomes somewhat close and I don't know that it's necessarily in regards to the champion. I think after we get that one out of the way, I'm going to take a look just a minute longer because there's probably two of them in my mind. I think it becomes a little bit closer between which one you want to use for reserve, but there's one out here that I think is tremendous in terms of her build, her flexibility. She's got the right kind of boldness, the right kind of substance, and still so attractive and so feminine. The young man out of the last class is going to have our champion.
Playing catch up on our Brahman side. Class 15 results. First place, Trenton Garrett, Nueces County. Second, Dylan Garrett, Nueces County. Third, Jeremiah Lard, Dickinson FFA. Fourth, Ryan Simpson, Cameron County FFA. And fifth was Ellie Bischoff, Willis FFA. We went ahead and did the senior drive in the Brahmins as well. First place or grand champion in the senior division was Trenton Garrett, Nueces County FFA or 4-H. And then our reserve champion on the Brahmin side in the senior division was Teal Krinky out of East Chambers FFA. Now in the ring is our overall champion Brahmin lineup.
Well, the awesome lineup of Brahman heifers that we have out here. There was a lot of cattle that came through, and I'll be honest, if you had a few different people out here, there might be some areas where there was some give and take, and some different people might have landed on some different stuff. But I feel really good about the lineup that we have out here, especially our front line. I think these three heifers out of these three divisions, really, as you look down among each other, they do a lot of the same things. They're good structured, and they're good balanced, and they're feminine, and they're smooth. And so I think that represents the kind that I was trying to find out here, just good built. And on a breeding heifer, I always fall back to starting from the ground up. And I think our three division winners, they do that really, really well. And I think the first division winner, even though she's a little green out here, man, she's just as good as anything. And I think her upside is tremendous because she's going to continue to get better and better, beautiful, balanced, and I think just very, very high quality. We came out of the second division, the red heifer, that I thought she won very comfortably in there. And there was a lot of cattle, and still I thought she rose to the top just as quick as anything. And it didn't matter if you saw her standing still, in motion. She's got the same look of balance at both spots. And so whenever we bring her back out here, she's absolutely a contender for me. And then we just got on talking through our senior division, and there was really good cattle in there, especially on the top end. But I talked through that, how I did not think that division, that decision was close on who needed to win. I thought the heifer that won, as far as anything that we'd seen throughout the day, I think she's as good as anything in terms of her angles and her flexibility. I think what's impressive about her, when you study her from the side, she's so smooth and everything balances so well, and yet you get in behind her, she's got some boldness and some shape and some dimension, and so she's one that puts together a lot of really, really impressive things. So I think we've got 6 heifers out here that are tremendous, that are really, really nice, but for me, there's one that hit me very, very hard, and I thought she'd be pretty tough to get around when we get back out here. Young man out of the senior division is going to be our champion. We bring the reserve from that division back into contention. We talked about her in class. She hit me really hard in terms of her stoutness of foot, stoutness of bone, and still being, I think, attractive in terms of her look from the side. And so she fills that spot, and I think really adds to our lineup out here. She certainly doesn't take away from it. I do think in my mind, though, whenever we get back out here, the decision for reserve, even though it probably gets just a little bit closer, in my mind, I thought there was a heifer that followed up our champion really, really nicely, and I think mirrors a lot of the things that she does. Young ladies out of Division 2 is going to be reserve.
In our Brahman ring, our champion overall Brahman female comes out of our senior division that goes to Trenton Garrett, Nueces County 4-H. Our reserve champion Brahman female comes out of our junior division. That's Madison Parker, Liberty FFA. Congratulations to you guys. In our East Arena, we're going to start our Santa Gertrudis show. On the Gert side, Class 1 is going to be walking in. We have 15 entries in Class 1 with birth dates that range from July 22nd to April 2nd, 2025. Okay. On our ARB side, Class 7 is in the ring. We did go ahead and do our champion and reserve champion heifer drive earlier. Our champion heifer calf was J.C. Collins from Clayburgh Kennedy FFA. Our reserve champion heifer calf was Sophia Garza from Hidalgo FFA.
Very good class, these ARB females, and obviously there's some give and take, I think, throughout the class here and some different ways you could go. For me, the red brindle heifer here is the one that I just keep coming back to. This is the one I think from a structure and build standpoint as a female you have to appreciate. Love this one when she gets her on the stand. She ties high out the top side of her shoulder, that I think is so good in terms of her top line and out of her hip. She's a heavy bone, stout-featured kind of a female. I think does things extremely well. She'll push the edge of her hock ever so slightly. I like to just set her in there just a touch, but I think that's a very, very good one to go ahead and start the class. I think the black heifer most similarly follows her from a structure and build standpoint. She's the one you certainly have to appreciate too, is for being opened up and big-bodied and dense. Gives you a nice look still there about her head and the top side of her neck. She'll push a little extra chest and maybe just get a little out of balance as compared to the one that wins the class. But hey, that's still a very, very good one there. It's going to make an awesome brood cow in the making. The shorthorn colored one here that come in next is one you get on top of this one and certainly appreciate all the shape and dimension and power that she has. Very, very muscular and stout. Works to her demise just a little bit. She wants to get a little more streamlined right there and through her center body. Not as smooth in terms of her forerib and shoulder transition. Like to level her out of her hip ever so slightly. But I think she's got the advantage of being a little stouter, a little looser in her construction as compared to the cue right behind her. Red and white heifer's neat. Young lady gets her parked and put together. It's a big-bodied one that's very neat and attractive up through her front end. Probably as neat-headed and neat at the top side of her neck as any we have in here. Very, very level in her top line and out of her hip. Like her body cavity. You set her in motion, just got to free her up off both ends. She wants to get a little straighter there in her shoulder, a little more restricted off her hind leg. Like to change her feet ever so slightly as well. Got a good black heifer here coming next. Mid-rib back, I really like this one. Good out of her hip. She's big-bodied. She's a female that have a lot of rib and dimension to her. Gets a little rawer there in terms of her shoulder and her forerib. A little deeper there in terms of her chest. Not as neat the way she goes out of her front end structure as well. Just like to loosen her up and let her get out and go and take a little longer step. Gold heifer here coming is long bodied. She's long pattern, gives you a nice look up front. Could smooth this one up and have her just a shot more balance here from the side, but a good heifer there in her own right. Had a good black heifer here coming next. I think one that's got some bone and some foot size and substance to her. Needs to be a little softer there through the middle part of her body. Got good cattle that are going to remain in this particular class. I think ones that are functional, going to make really good brood cows for these exhibitors. Need just a shot more look and balance. I think we could just square them up to in terms of their structure. But an awesome class. ARBs, congratulations to all these exhibitors as they exit the ring.
Out here, every acre has a story. It's where families work hard, plan, and take pride in what they do. Whether you're buying your first place, expanding your operation, or just getting through another season, we're here to help you grow, one good decision at a time. The leader in ag lending throughout Texas and New Mexico, Ag Trust Farm Credit.
Lee Green, Cleburne FFA. 4th, Olivia Beckner, Victoria County 4-H. 5th, Caleb Horner, Taylor County 4-H. 6th, Carson Taylor, Columbia FFA. 7th, Ariel Blethen, Needville FFA. 8th, Greenlee Wallace, Montgomery County 4-H. 9th, Wyatt Davis, Washington County 4-H. And 10th, Andy Randall, Liberty Hill FFA. Now entering the ring on your ARB sides, Class 8. 10 entries in Class 8 that range in birth date from October 28th to September 10th, 2024.
Well, a good way to get us started over here in our Gerts, and I really like the top end of this class. And the one that we land on, for me, whenever she came in and you watch these cattle on the move, the way that she used her lower joint work probably hit me the hardest in here. And I think at this stage of the game, I probably am just a little more where I fall back on build and structure, because you got to project these out just a little bit. I think she'll continue to get better, because she has got a neck a mile long that ties right to the top side of her shoulder. And then I think she's as good in terms of her lower joint work and her flexibility as anything. She's a little green in her forerib right now, but that's a really, really nice heifer. I think a ton of upside in her, and I like her to win this class pretty handily. The heifer that's in second, I think whenever she stopped and put together, she's really easy to like her balance, because she ties her neck high to the top side of her shoulder too. She's really good in her lower body balance and the depth that she has in the center portion of her body, and I still think that heifer's plenty functional. I didn't know if she was quite as extended up front. I didn't know if she was quite as attractive in her hip and her hind leg. Just a couple little things. She's still plenty functional. Just those couple of little things, I thought that separated those two. Really, really nice top pair. A heifer that comes in third that's just a little green, I think she'll continue to get better, because she too's got a good look. Got some stoutness of bone, and I probably thought, just in terms of her quality and her balance, I liked her a little bit better than the one that came in 4. Now, where she can't get around those ones in front of her, she just gives up a little bit of center body right now. But I think that'll continue to get better. She's very, very nice. The heifer that comes next, she does transition just a little better in her forerib with just a shot more substance. I think she's really smooth and blends everything together. Of those top 4, she's the plainest from her shoulder forward, the frailest in her foot and bone, and just those couple of things throw her out of balance just a little bit. But I did think she was a little bit better in the way she used her lower joint work than the heifer that came right behind her. This one's got big pieces, because she's attractive. She's level top. She's got some bone. She's just too straight for me. We got to relax her in terms of her angles. She just stays with her leg kind of locked up like that. Just need to make her where she uses it a little more attractively in motion. A really functional heifer that comes next, that is sound structured. She's got some body. I just thought just a little bit plainer out here, a little more general in her look. A heifer that I think is a little green, got some upside as she continues to get work and he continues to work with her. She's a little bit out of balance today in terms of her body type. And then a heifer here, again, just needs a little more time. So a good way to get us started there in that division. If you would, congratulate those exhibitors.
Over here in our Santa Gertrudis ring, we've got some awards that are sponsored by the SGBI Breeders in coordination with the Mid-Coast Santa Gertrudis Association. So your Class 1 belt buckle sponsor comes from Ellis Pasture out of Buda, Texas. And the winner of Class 1 and getting that belt buckle is Dawson Moran from Brenham FFA. Second place is Kinley Kincannon, Columbia FFA. Third is Graham Course, Hill County 4-H. Fourth is Ellie Ware, Live Oak County 4-H. Fifth is Kinsley Quebeca, Matagorda County 4-H. Sixth, J.C. Heeger, Brenham FFA. Seventh is Grant Stark, Bullard FFA. Eighth is Kelton Leonard, Navasota FFA. And ninth is Denton Rosler, Gainesville FFA. Congratulations, you exhibitors.
Very strong class here all the way through on our ARB side. Nice place to start. Young man's heifer comes in, and I think it's pretty commanding. One with power and dimension and width. When you get right on top of her, yet he can get her put together and still give you a nice look from the side. I think she's functional enough in terms of her structure. Good place to start. Got a little more challenging there for me between 2, 3, and 4, and I think we could maybe combine all of them. We'd have the one that's the answer, but young lady, the longer yours is out here, I just truly gravitate towards that one. Structure. She's nicer the way she gets out of her hip and off her hind leg. I think she balances up very well down her top line and out of her hip. You know, there's not as much look and presence as our class winner, but still very, very good one there. Functional, very, very good in terms of her structure. I think going to make a whale of a good cow. Brockle-headed one's neat. This is a big body, deep-sided one here that's long in terms of her pattern. Gives you a neat look up through her front end. She's level out of her hip. Gets a little awkward at times in terms of her top line, like to just square up on her hind leg a shot as compared to the two right ahead of her. But I do think that's a nice one there that's got rib and body and volume. Going to make a good cow for her in the future. The red one's neat. Shoulder forward, gives you a neat look up through her front end. Very stout when you get on top of her. Very, very opened up in terms of her body shape and just her natural width. For me, could be just a shot more attractive here from the side. We could level her out of her hip and just make her use her hind leg just a little truer as compared to the ones up front. But a very neat heifer there in her own right. Got a good set of them here as well coming. Young lady's got a nice black heifer here that's big rib. She's deep through her rear rib and flank. She's nice out of her hip. Gets a little more open there in her shoulder, a little more vertical out of her front end. Could change her in terms of her structure off both ends of her skeleton, especially up front there. But a nice heifer from a rib and body and volume standpoint. This young man's got one that's extremely sound in terms of both ends of her skeleton, can get out and go. Gets a little higher there in terms of her flank, not just the rib cage and body and volume. Could level her up out of her hip as well. Next couple of heifers are very, very good. They look really good at the stand. They're ones we could just loosen up in terms of their structure, make them a little more athletic. And then the pair that's going to close here, nice cattle as well. They're good and strong in their top line. Need more rib and volume and density to run any higher in this class. But awesome job here in our ARBs. Congratulations to all those kids.
In our Santa Gertrudis ring, we currently have Class 2 being exhibited. There's 12 entries in Class 2. They were all born in March of 25. Results from our ARB side out of Class 8. First place, Aiden Wall, Williamson County 4-H. Second place, Riley Melton, Austin County 4-H. Third, Liliana Waldrop, Brazoria County 4-H. Fourth is Casey Cooper, Cold Spring FFA. Fifth, Casey Cooper, Cold Spring FFA. Sixth is Peyton Smith, Santa Fe FFA. Seventh is Emma Day, Needville FFA. Eighth, Ellie Hicks, Joshua FFA. Ninth is Abigail Meek, Fort Bend County 4-H. And 10th is Caitlin Meek, Needville FFA. Now entering the ring on our ARB side is Class 9. There's 3 entries in Class 9. Calf August 14th to July 11th, 2024. Just a reminder that we will do the Supreme Heifer Drive 30 minutes after the conclusion of the last breed. We will do the Supreme Heifer Drive 30 minutes after the conclusion of the last breed. If you were Grand and Reserve in your breed today, get your bio sheet, fill it out, and bring it up here to the announcer stand. So if you're a Grand or Reserve in your breed today, please fill out your bio sheet and bring it up here to the announcer stand. We're still missing just a handful of those guys, so if you guys could bring those up to us, look, we just got one. So thank y'all, and we'll see you 30 minutes after the conclusion of the last breed.
three very high quality females here in this class as they come around here. And, you know, for me, I think the structure sorts the top pair of these, and young man's heifer that's going to lead off with. I love the angle and the shape this one has to her shoulder and how she can get out of her front end, pick her head up high on the top side of her blade, and does such a nice job there. She's balanced from there to back down her top line and uses her hip and hind leg extremely well. Now, there's not as much of her as the one that's in two from her, just the shape to her body or being as big out of her hip. But I think that one, it just reads with a balanced look here that can get out and go extremely well. Young man, you got a very, very good heifer. I love her mid-rib back. She is so stout, so powerful. She's opened up in terms of her body shape. She's big in terms of her pin width. You know, she's still nice enough about her head and her neck. For me, the problem is she wants to toe out and get a little straighter up there through her shoulder and toe out up front, just like the redesigner there, the way she goes to the ground. I think with that, too, we could loosen her up off her hind leg as well, but still a very, very powerful female. You have to appreciate all the positives she brings to the table. Young man's got a good heifer here to close the class, one that's extremely functional in her kind. She's got some body shape. She's got some dimension to her. Not quite the look and balance here from the side as the ones right ahead of her. We could square her up out of her hip and just make her a shot more attractive. But I think that one's going to make a very, very good cow for him here in the near future. Congratulations on a very good class, ARBs. Good job, guys.
Adams Fab. Established in 2007, they build custom livestock pinning and equipment to fit all your needs. Hanger feeder rods, adjustable slam gate latches, and skirted panels. It all comes standard. Custom pins made by hand and hot dipped galvanized so that you know that they're going to last. Adams Fab is a certified TIPS vendor and can design, fabricate, and install equipment to fit all your needs. Visit adamsfablivestock.com to get started today.
Well, another good class that we worked through here, and especially on the top end, really, really nice heifers. The one that we land on, though, I think she hit me with the most quality out here whenever we work through them. And I think whenever you talk about future and them continuing to get better, I'd be really excited to have the young ladies. She's so attractive up front, and I think that's where she's got a pretty big advantage relative to some of the heifers that come behind her. Just her refinement, her femininity from her shoulder forward, and then as you work back from there, I think not only is she really good in terms of her top line balance, when we set her in motion, she does an awesome job of maintaining her balance. So for me, felt very comfortable to use her, and then thought I got a little bit closer after that. I do like the flexibility in the body type of the heifer that comes in second, and whenever we get the cattle in motion, I think she's as comfortable as anything. Now, where she can't get around our class winner, she's just a little too plain up front, a little heavier in her navel, a little plainer from her shoulder forward, but her rib and her body type and flexibility I thought was very nice. Kind of the same to be said for the heifer that comes in third, and she is not wanting to get out here and show herself off, and so I'm sure if we just took her halter off and let her run around, man, she'd look really good. She's just wanting to fight you a little bit too much, and I think of those top three, sometimes she wants to suck up just a little bit in her flank and want to roll up just a little in her top. She could be just a little more refined up front as well, but I still think her angles all read good. She's got some dimension from behind, just those couple of little things, and mainly just change her attitude so she'll show a bit better for you. The heifer that comes next, she does have some extension up front. I thought that when we got down to those four out there, she's the one that fell out of balance just a little bit in terms of her chest floor to her heart. She wants to cut up a little bit there. She gets just a little straighter up front, a little flatter from behind. The heifer that comes next struggles just a little bit too much in motion to get around those ones in front of her. Stopped and collected, she'll give you a good look. She's just too straight up front, rolls out of her hip, not quite as attractive in her hip and her hind leg. A big growthy heifer that I think is good in terms of having some flexibility. She needs to balance a bit better. A little plainer up front, throws her off just from her shoulder back just a nickel bit. If we could make her a little more attractive from her shoulder forward, I think she gets a shot more competitive. As we work on down the line, a heifer that I think has some upside, a little bit too green today. A heifer that's got some stoutness, falls out of balance just a shot too much. And then I think we get down some cattle that just need a little more time to bulk up, get a shot more mass there. Good class. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
good pair of heifers here in our ARB division, and both of them extremely high quality. And obviously, there's not a ton of them out here, but I think both of them could sure stand a ton of competition because they're both extremely good. I think the difference between them, the one that wins for me is just enough more flexible out of her hip and her hind leg. And I think when you break them down and study them, this one's starting to make a little more udder underneath her. There's a little more shape to the center part of her body. I like this one's head and the refinement up there she has, so neat up front. I think she balances up extremely well, just a little looser out of her hip and hind leg. The 1 and 2 is powerful. She's stout. She gives you a good look. She's heavy bone. This one can still balance up extremely well here from the side. Like to just relax her in her hock and her ankle ever so slightly when you set her on the go. I think, you study this one too. She's not as far along in calf as what our class winner is, but still very, very high quality here. Congratulations to both these girls.
Your results from your ARB class. Class 10, first place, Claire Schneider, Austin County 4-H. Second place, Madeline Glitlitz, Waller County 4-H. Coming in now in your ARB ring is your junior heifer drive. Out of Class 7, first place, Ashlyn Dutcher, Brazoria County 4-H. Second, Cooper Hardcastle, Gonzales County 4-H. Coming out of Class 8, your first place was Aiden Wall, Williamson County 4-H. And your second place was Riley Melton, Austin County 4-H. Coming from Class 9, your first place was Colton War, Brazos FFA, and your second was Rodney Rhodes, San Jacinto County 4-H. And then coming out of Class 10 was Claire Schneider from Austin County 4-H and Madeline Glidlitz from Waller County 4-H. Over on your Santa Gertrudis side, your Class 2 winning belt buckle sponsor was Mackey Cattle out of Timpson, Texas, and your winner of that belt buckle was Fiona Joseph from Liberty FFA. Second place was Mia Galvan from Fort Bend County 4-H. Third place was Arden Strait, Fairfield FFA. Fourth was Demi Hunter, Huffman FFA. Fifth, Michael Kettler, Brenham FFA. Sixth was Ellie Ware, Live Oak County 4-H. Seventh, Graham Course, Hill County 4-H. And your eighth place finisher was Mason Barnett, Kaufman County 4-H. Congratulations to you exhibitors.
A good class here, and I think one that comes together really, really nicely. And I like these two heifers on the top end a good deal. Excuse me. The heifer that we're going to land on, though, I think as you start at the ground and you build them from the ground up, she is the most comfortable, the most correct and attractive in terms of her lower joint work. I think that's what allows her to get out and maintain her balance. And I think relative to the heifer that comes behind her, I think she's really attractive up front. And then I do think that she's probably just a little leveler from hooks to pins. So I like that heifer. I think a lot of quality, A lot of upside in her. The heifer that's second, arguably just a little bit better, right behind her shoulder and the boldness of her rib, her natural dimension and substance. I didn't read her as neat in terms of the way she uses her lower joint work. She's still plenty flexible. I think that's where that one's unique. And then this one's not quite as consistent in the way she comes from hooks to pins. Just gets a little piece here there in her top line, but a good heifer, a lot of substance. I still think pieces together attractively from the side. Just those couple of little things in her. A moderate heifer that's got some extension. She wants to cut up into her flank, get a little frailer in her hind leg. Those things throw her off just a little bit. A heifer that's got some substance. She's just a little too round out of her hip. We need to level her out there a little bit, give her a little more forerib and heart. I think if we do that, she becomes a little more competitive. The heifer that comes next, we need to just change her a little bit in her front end structure. She wants to get just more upright there, deeper at the base of her chest. And then we round out the class with a heifer that's good in terms of her top line, just a little plainer in terms of the way she balances out here, a little more general in her look ahead of her shoulder there. Good class. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Class 14. Second call, class 14 ARB. Class 15 ARB. First call, class 15 ARB.
Very fun division here, these ARBs, and congratulations to all the exhibitors out here on bringing such a high-quality set. These kids are awesome to work with. Just sitting back watching them and their showmanship is just so much fun, the way they get these cattle put together. One time, let's give them a nice round of applause here in this division if we could. We started off with a really, really good class up front here and had a nice pair of them. And this red brindle heifer here kind of sorted herself in that class. You know, you get off the side of this one. This one's neat to look at. So high tying up front and so neat about her head and the way the top side of her neck rolls into her shoulder. Very balanced down her top, and she's very uniform from her chest to her midrib, back to her rear rib and flank. I think she balances up extremely well. She's sound when you set her in motion. You know, she's a female that we talked about her from behind. She'll push her hock ever so slightly. We could pick her up in her pins as compared to just a couple of them back here in the lineup. But, hey, that one's a lot of fun out here because she gives you such a neat look here from the side with still plenty of power. The next heifer wins that class of being the one that come in and being athletic and having a nice look. You get her back out here and certainly appreciate that about her. She's neat up through her front end. Is she as powerful and broad and stout as a few of these other ones out here? Probably not. I'd like to set her down in her tailhead ever so slightly, but hey, that one's fundamentals are extremely good from being sound, functional in her type and kind, and still giving you a nice look. Young man's got a nice heifer here, and that was a good class of them. And this one comes back out and honestly probably hits me just a shot harder when we get her back out here in this lineup. In that class, she probably wasn't as stout and overwhelming as the one that was in second, but this one's fundamentals were so good. She's so good in terms of her structure, balances up so well here from the side. So neat and attractive there about her head and her neck placement, the way the top side of her neck rolls into her shoulder. Awesome down her top and out of her hip. Really appreciate the udder that this one's making underneath over there. Going to be very pretty when this one goes to calve. Awesome still in terms of her feet and legs. You know, is she as overwhelmingly stout as maybe a couple of them? No, I don't think so, but I think when you just get to breaking her down individually, there's still plenty of power there. Young lady wins the final class with another very, very high quality one that's neat up through her front end. That was a good pair of heifers out here that certainly could stand a lot more competition. They're females that are farther along here in terms of their gestation goes. I like this one out front here. Neat in terms of her head and neck. She's good in terms of her balance. You know, out here, is she just as athletic and big-boned and good-footed as a few of these other ones? You know, I don't think so, but I do appreciate that one a ton and what she brings to the table. Going to make an awesome brood cow for that young lady here in the future. So, for me, I think it kind of comes down to a pair of them here, depending on which way you want to go. I certainly wouldn't argue with you. There's one I keep coming back to that becomes very, very complete. Young man here out of the third class is going to be our champion.
First call, class 7, Santa Gertrudis. First call, class 7, Santa Gertrudis.
This to me is where the fun begins, is when you bring this other heifer, or the second place heifer, back in here. She's a different kind than the other ones we have back out here. Midrib back, this one's so impressive. She's bold sprung, she's stout, she's thick-ended. Still gives you a nice look here from the side as well. Could change her udder ever so slightly, probably just fix her there out of her shoulder and her knee and her front end to run with a few of these other ones. There's one I kind of keep going and gravitating back towards a structure, a look, and a balance, and she's very gravitating when you study her color. Young lady up front here is going to be reserved. Congratulations to her.
On your ARB side, your champion junior heifer goes to Colton War, Brazos FFA. Your reserve champion junior heifer goes to Ashland Dutcher, Brazoria County 4-H. Congratulations to you exhibitors. Going back to our Gert side out of Class 3, Class 3's belt buckle sponsor was Went Ranch Partners, Bay City, Texas. Your winner of that belt buckle and winning Class 3 was Sawyer Cross, Hill County 4-H. Second place was Mabry Mikulášek, Pasadena FFA. Third, Calvin Wunderlich, Washington County 4-H. Fourth, Carrington Gill, Jersey Village FFA. Fifth, Jane Lawrence, Nueces County 4-H. And sixth, Hope Douglas, Grapevine FFA. In your ring on your Santa Gertrudis side right now is Class 4. There's 9 entries in Class 4 that were all calved January of 25. Coming into the ring on your ARB side is Class 13. 3 entries in Class 13 that were calved April 6, 2024 to March 9th, 2024.
Well, another good class is we keep working over here on the Gert side, and I think one that wins for me, she hit me the hardest, and just in terms of her quality, her upside, I think is tremendous and really, really attractive in terms of her look, her extension and refinement up front. I think in terms of her build and her flexibility, she's got the foundation for that young lady to continue to work on her, for that heifer to bulk up and mass up, because right now she is a little green compared to some of the other cattle that come behind her. I just love her quality and the upside that she's got. Hit me really, really hard. A really nice heifer that's second in here as well, that probably does have just a little more forerib, a little more body and substance than the one that goes ahead and wins. And so those two complement each other really, really nicely. I think that heifer's sound and good in terms of her feet and her legs. She didn't hit me just quite as unique in terms of her look from her shoulder forward, but I think that heifer is really, really nice. Those two on the top end I thought were very high quality. The heifer that comes next, another one that I think in terms of flexibility, she's good and comfortable whenever we get the cattle in motion. Stopped and at the standstill, she's got just a little more chest. She want to roll just a little bit out of her hip. I didn't know if she just blended everything together just quite as attractively as those two that went out in front of her, but I do like her substance. She's still got some extension, just a little piece here there at the profile. The heifer that comes next, another one that's got some substance. She's got some stoutness, a bone. Of those top four, she probably becomes the shallowest in terms of her forerib and her heart, the way she comes up into her flank. And then for her being a little bit pinched, she's got quite a bit of leather at the base of her chest. So those things throw her out of balance just a little bit there. The heifer that comes next, fighting the young man just a little bit, and you're doing a good job, and don't let her throw you around out here. She's good-bodied. She's got a lot of substance with that, just a little rounder made off either end. Didn't hit me quite as good in terms of her balance. A heifer that is extended up front, just a little too streamlined in terms of her rib and her body type. A heifer that comes next that I think has got some extension. She's good in her top line. Didn't see quite as much as quality, not as much overwhelming dimension whenever you get in behind her. And then a couple cattle that just need a little more time. Good class of Gerts there. Congratulations to all of them.
Good trio of females here in the ARB side. I think we got a nice class winner here, young lady here in the cowboy hat. One I think that's very good in terms of her look and her balance here from the side, quality in terms of just her head shape and where her neck placement's at. And in my opinion, here's the nicest bodied one that I think's the truest in terms of her structure. Good place to start. I think the red heifer most closely follows her here in 2. It's a long pattern female that's neat up through her front end. I think she balances well down her top line and out of her hip. Not as good in terms of her forerib or the center shape to her body as our class winner, but still I think very, very good in her own right. Young man's got a good black heifer here to close, one that's very moderate in terms of her size. She's dense and wide when you get on top of her. For me out here, needs to be more attractive up through her front end. We can soften her up through her rear rib and flank as well as compared to the 2 up front. But good class. Congratulations to these kids here in our ARBs.
Adams Fab. Established in 2007, they build custom livestock pinning and equipment to fit all your needs. Hanger feeder rods, adjustable slam gate latches, and skirted panels. It all comes standard. Custom pins made by hand and hot dipped galvanized so that you know that they're going to last. Adams Fab is a certified TIPS vendor and can design, fabricate, and install equipment to fit all your needs. Visit adamsfablivestock.com to get started today.
4-H, 7th Emerson Williams, Lorena FFA, 8th Madeline Galvan, Fort Bend County 4-H, and 9th Nolan Reyes, Brenham FFA. Entering the ring now is your heifer calf division drive on the Santa Gertrudis side. Coming out of Class 1, Dawson Moran, first place from Brenham FFA. Second place out of Class 1 was Kinley Kincannon, Columbia FFA. Out of Class 2, Fiona Joseph, Liberty FFA. And your second place was Mia Galvan, Fort Bend County 4-H. Your winner of Class 3 was Sawyer Cross, Hill County 4-H. And second was Mabry Mikulachik, Pasadena FFA. And then coming back out of Class 4, first place, Avery Strait, Fairfield FFA. And second, Caden Mullins, Columbia FFA.
Well, a good lineup that we have out here in our first division of the Santa Gertrudis. And there's some different types and kinds out here, but I still think really, really nice heifers that have a lot of upside, a lot of future, and a ton of quality. We started off in the first class, one that hit me really hard, and especially in terms of having some stoutness, a bone, still being really flexible, especially in her hip and her hind leg, really extended up front. She's really, really attractive. Now, when we bring her back out here compared to some of the other ones that come down the line, I don't know if she blends just perfectly right into her forerib, and sometimes her front end is just on the edge, just a little bit there in terms of where her knee and her shoulder sits, but I think that heifer's very, very nice and a lot of upside in her. The second class, I thought the one that we landed on for me rose to the top relatively quickly, and I think she's very, very high quality. I love her rib and her body type, and I think she gives you a really high quality look, not only at the standstill, but also in motion, because she is so good and comfortable in her lower joint work. The young man's there that came out of the third class, big-footed, heavy bone. She's got a lot of denseness and still good in terms of the way she uses her lower joint work. We talked about how she's a little green yet in terms of her forerib. She's not the boldest in the way she transitions out the backside of it, but like I've talked about several times before, in terms of building them from the ground up, I think she does a lot of things that's really unique. And then we just got done talking that last class, and one that's still a little green yet in terms of her rib and her body, but I still think there's your look at her, a lot of quality and some upside in her. I think if things continue to go the right way for that young lady, that heifer is going to continue to get better and better. So I think that there's some decisions that become somewhat close for me as we study our class winners. There was one that just rises to the top. I keep coming back to the young ladies out of the second class circling in front of me is going to be champion.
Nice pair of females here to wind up our show. And obviously there's some give and take out here, depending on what you wanted to do. But for me, the young ladies up front here with the pair, the heifer's done a nice job here laying down and raising a baby. Still really pretty in terms of her udder and her teat spacing, and it gives you such a nice look down her top and how level she is out of her hip. I think she's very functional in terms of her feet and legs. Not as bold in her forerib and probably not as expected to be being a first calf heifer here, but doing an awesome job. For me, she's maybe just a little big, but maybe the 1 and 2 is a little moderate. So, maybe somewhere in the middle is probably where we got to be with these. But, hey, very high quality cattle there to go ahead and win. Young lady, you got a good one here in 2 as well. Real functional in terms of her structure. She's got ribs, she's got body and volume. I think for this stage of the game, like to see her a little farther along in calf there. And I think for me, too, we could level her out of her hip and just make her a shot more attractive here from the side. But very good pair of them. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Out here, every acre has a story. It's where families work hard, plan, and take pride in what they do. Whether you're buying your first place, expanding your operation, or just getting through another season, we're here to help you grow, one good decision at a time. The leader in ag lending throughout Texas and New Mexico, Ag Trust Farm Credit.
On the ARB side, your Class 13 results. First place, Chloe Finley, Montgomery County 4-H. Second place, Naomi Gonzalez, Brenham FFA. And third, Ja'Cory Sumbler, Sheldon FFA. Just wrapped up Class 14 in our ARBs as well. Your first place, Laney Quebeca, Matagorda County 4-H. And second place, Addison Wall, Williamson County 4-H. Now entering the ring is Class 15, the last class of the ARBs. 6 entries come into Class 15, born on December 3rd to September 8th, 2023. Over on our Santa Gertrudis side, Judge Scott just selected our heifer calf champion in reserve. Your champion heifer calf comes out of Class 2. That's Fiona Joseph, Liberty FFA. Your reserve champion heifer calf comes out of Class 4. That's Avery Strait from Fairfield FFA. Congratulations to you exhibitors. Now in the ring on the Santa Gertrudis side is Class 7. We've got 9 entries in Class 7, born December 28th to November 2nd, 2024.
good class. We got some differences in type and kind, so you could shuffle things around just a little bit. I do think the young mans that we land on as you work through these, for me, it was hard to pick a major hole in that heifer, and I think she just works up the line because of that. In terms of look and balance, I think whenever you step off to the side, she's one of the heifers that's got some extension, that's got some look and balance, and then I think whenever you study her in motion, she's still plenty flexible and functional in her lower body. You get in behind her, she's got some substance. So for me, she probably checks off the most boxes as we continue to break these down and study them. I think the same thing goes for the young ladies in second as well. And this one's even just a little bit deeper and softer in her heart and back into her flank. And so I thought that that was a really nice pair there on the top end of the class. You could clean her up just a little bit at the base of her chest. She can get just a little more rocked forward in her front end from time to time. But I thought that was a nice heifer to be second. I thought both of those complemented each other very, very well. A heifer that comes in third, that's got some stoutness of bone, she's got some substance, a little too open at the top of her shoulder, a little too plain at the base of her chest, and just her look up front, just those things throw her out of balance just a shot. The heifer that comes next is more consistent, and she's good in her top line. She's extended up front. I thought she got just a little frailer, and her foot and her bone gave up some extra boldness and depth through her heart and back through her flank relative to the ones that went out in front of her. The heifer that comes next is extended. She's high performing. I thought for her frame size, though, she probably needs to be opened up, softened up in her forerib and back into her flank a little bit more. The heifer that comes next, another one, functional in her build, extended, just too flat. Whenever we step in behind her, we got to power her up, open her up a little bit more. And then a couple of heifers that are moderate, they're functional, just fall out of balance a little bit in a good class here. Congratulations to each of those exhibitors.
Well, this has been a fun class here with a lot of pairs out here. Obviously, we get into these older heifers, and all of them are doing a tremendous job out here, and certainly want to congratulate all the exhibitors for sticking with it. For one, getting them calved out. Two, getting them to the show. Three, just making them look this high quality. It's a ton of fun. So you're breaking them down and sorting them. There's obviously some differences out here, and I certainly wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to go several different ways. For me, the black cow, the black and white calf up here that's going to win the class, I love this one in terms of her structure. She has the class advantage of her hip and hind leg, the way that she can get out and go. Love the way her neck ties high at the top side of her shoulder. You get on top of that one, she's deceivingly stout. She's the widest one out of her hip, has the most shape there when you study her. Obviously her calf's a little younger out here, and so she's a little melted off there in terms of her forerib. I think the white underneath her there throws her off her depth just a shot as well. I could probably refine her in terms of her teats ever so slightly as compared to the one right behind her, but hey, that's an awfully nice one there. Good pair of them. Got a very, very good baby calf here at side two as well, doing a tremendous job. Good red pair here coming next, and certainly like the kind of this cow. She's moderate in her size. She's good in her body. She's very, very attractive and pretty there in terms of her teats underneath. For me, I need to redesign her the way she goes off her hind leg ever so slightly. She's not quite as neat and sharp in terms of her shoulder and up through her front end as our class winner as well. Could just square her up and let her be a little more athletic there off her hind two. Close pair on top for me, though, with some give and take for sure. These exhibitors are doing an awesome job here with this next pair coming. Female's very, very good. Gives you a nice look up front. She balances well on her top line. There's not as much rib and body and volume and power as the two right ahead of her. Excuse me. I'd like to just refine her and her teat size as well, but still very, very high quality. Going to make a good fundamental brood cow in the future there. Yellow and white one coming next is good as well, and if we could change the spacing to that one's teats and just balance her up a little nicer underneath. But hey, this is a good one here that's level down her top and nice out of her hip. Still gives you an attractive look up front. We could make her a little stouter boned, a little bigger footed there. I think with that too, just let her get out and go just a little easier as compared to the cattle right up front. Got a nice red pair here coming next as well. I think one that's real functional in terms of her type and kind. Needs more width, needs more dimension to run any higher. And young lady, you're doing an awesome job with the one out here without a calf. I think that's a very, very high quality one there. Biggest thing for me is we've got to change her teats, just refine her there and the one teat placement on the right front. And I think with that too, just make her a notch sounder as she gets out on the go. But a very, very good class here. Congratulations to all these exhibitors here in our ARBs.
Thank you, Judge. Results from Class 15 ARBs. Your first place went to Keelan Fillmore, Cypress Creek FFA. Second, Ellie Lenz, Johnson County 4-H. Third, Jane Lawrence, Nueces County 4-H. Fourth, Brooklyn Hurst, Magnolia West FFA. Fifth, Mia Jones, Brazos Wood FFA. and 6, Jaylee Orr, Travis County 4-H. Now coming in the ring on the ARB side will be your senior calf or senior heifer division drive. Out of Class 13, first place, Chloe Finley, Montgomery County 4-H. Second place, Naomi Gonzalez, Brenham FFA. Out of Class 14, Laney Quebeca, Matagorda County 4-H. And your second place was Addison Wall, Williamson County 4-H. Out of Class 15, your class winner will be Keelan Fillmore, Cypress Creek FFA. And your second place will be Ellie Lenz, Johnson County 4-H. Your results from your Santa Gertrudis Class 7 and your belt buckle sponsor for Class 7 in the Santa Gertrudis show was Justin and Jennifer Pirtle, Henderson, Texas. And winning that belt buckle was Arden Strait, Fairfield FFA. Your second place was Colt Kincannon, Columbia FFA. Third, Lily Brown, Thomas Randall FFA. Fourth, Lowland Wunderlich, Washington County 4-H. Fifth, Jana Justice, DeWitt County 4-H. Sixth, Mason Englehart, Long Creek FFA. Seventh, Molly Miller, Brassport FFA. And eighth, James Segresser, Hale County 4-H. Now in the ring on your Santa Gertrudis side is Class 8. There's 8 entries in Class 8, born October 25th to September 2nd, 2024.
Well, as we get back out here in our final division, ARBs, let's give these kids a big round of applause if we can. Awesome division. It's a blast to get these big yearlings out here, even 2-year-olds, to sort through them and see where they're at as far as their gestation goes. And, you know, it depends on where you want to breed them or how you want to mate them and make it work. But, you know, we had a very good heifer here to win the first class, and I think one you still get back out here and like for the power this one's got and just how good and square she is down her top and out of her hip. She's a female, I think, still it reads nice in terms of her structure. You get to compare her to the ones right behind her. Is she as balanced? Is she as elite looking up through her front end? Maybe not, but I still think that one's extremely high quality. We come into that middle class there, a very good pair, and the cow there, the heifer that wins that class is very neat in terms of her look here from the side. Very sharp in terms of her lines and gives you a nice look there out of her hip and off her hind leg. You know, you ask yourself out here, is this one plenty big? She probably is. I'd like to moderate her in terms of her size ever so slightly, and I think with that too, compared to the one right behind her, we could loosen her up off her hind leg just a shot, but I do think that one's still very, very good. Got in that final class, and boy, that was a fun class to sort, and there was so many high-quality pairs in there. Landed on the black and white cow and calf out here, and man, they're just so neat to look at, and the cow is just so elegant and neat and feminine up through her shoulder and her front end. I think from their back still balances up extremely well, uses her hip and hind leg incredible when you set her in motion. Is she the most open in terms of her forerib? No. Is she the stoutest in terms of her body cavity? No. But hey, she's doing a nice job here raising a very elite heifer calf. Biggest thing with me is just like to shorten her front teats up, just make them a little more ideal there in terms of her spacing, but it's a first calf heifer doing an awesome job. So I thought the second and third and fourth in that class were extremely good as well, and I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to shake them up. Hey, for me out here, it's been a lot of fun. Let's congratulate these two out of the final class. They're going to be champion reserve in this division. Congratulations.
Well, another good class over here. Young lady that wins. I love it whenever people get excited. And they're excited over on the ARB side, and she was excited to win her class. And I thought you had a really nice heifer. And in this class, I just thought for me, as we continued to study them and break them down, she hit me the best in terms of her body type, her natural dimension, and then I thought still in terms of her lower joint work and her flexibility, she was one of the most comfortable out here. And so for me, she became just a good kind to land on. We could neaten her up just a little bit up front. She gets just a little plainer at the base of her chest, but I really like what she represents from there back. The heifer that's in second at the standstill, I like her extension up front. She is more attractive from her shoulder forward. She's cleaner at the base of her chest, really consistent in her top line balance. I just had to make the decision whether or not I thought there was just quite enough rib and body there, just a little bit shallower. She's a little more streamlined the way she comes back to her rear rib and flank. I just want to open her up and soften her up there just a little bit more to go ahead and use her to run in the class. The heifer that comes next, I thought another one that's got some extension up front. She transitions behind her shoulder good, but then she comes up in her loin, rolls out of her hip, and from behind, she's just a little bit too closed up. We got to open her up a little bit more. There's a lot of quality in the heifer that comes next. If she had just a little more flesh and just a little more natural dimension in front of her, behind her, I think she could go up several spots because I love her look up front. Her top line balance is good. She just hits me a little too hard in her forerib and her body type. You get in front of her, she's more closed up at her foundation. Just got to give more substance there to her for her to go up a few more spots in the class. A moderate heifer that's got some substance. She gets a little too open in her shoulder, a little plainer from there forward, and probably just gives up a little bit of that unique look and presence that some of those cattle had going out in front of her, but I do like her moderation, body type. Kind of same thing for the heifer that comes next. I think a functional type of female that's got some ribs, she's got some flesh, a little bit too plain out here, a little more open in her shoulder, not as unique in her balance. And then a pair of heifers, just a little too shallow, a little harder doing among the set. Good set of heifers there. Congratulations to all of those exhibitors.
On our ARB side, our champion senior heifer was Keelan Fillmore from Cypress Creek FFA, and our reserve senior heifer was Ellie Lines from Johnson County 4-H. We've got the ARB Grand Champion Drive in the ring right now, and we'll turn it over to Judge Weingartner to hear his thoughts.
Well, first off in this division, if we could, let's get our hands together here one last time for a great group of kids. This has been a blast out here to get to sort through your cattle today, especially this ARB division. Biggest thing is we've had so many different shapes, sizes, colors of them, and, you know, there's just so many different ways you could go, and I certainly wouldn't argue that. I am so happy and pleased with the cattle we have back out here and just what they represent as far as just being good quality livestock. I think they're ones that no matter what your breeding program is, you can go several different ways with them, and I think that's a ton of fun to get to be able to do for these kids when they go home. You know, to break them down and do some different things. You know, I think there's still a pair of them out here that sort themselves for me, and hey, I'm the first one to tell you that I will always probably lean towards the bigger, heavier bred ones or the ones that's in calf, but I'll promise you one thing, there is a pair of them out here that I think are very, very elite. Please put your hands together for the two heifer calves out of the first division. They'll be your champion in reserve.
Your champion ARB female comes out of the heifer calf division. That's JC Collins from Clayburgh Kennedy FFA. Your reserve champion ARB female also comes out of the heifer calf division, and that's Sofia Garza, Hidalgo FFA. Congratulations to you exhibitors. Everybody sitting ringside, put your hands together for Mr. Tyler Weingartner for doing a great job working through his breeds over there today. Catching up on some results from your Santa Gertrudis show, your Class 8 belt buckle sponsor for the Santa Gertrudis show was Straight Ranches from Streetman, Texas, or Straight Ranches, excuse me, from Streetman, Texas. And your winner of Class 8 was J. Lee Landolt, Somerville, FFA. Second place, Emerson Yeager, Harris County 4-H. Third, Elizabeth Baker, Grapevine, FFA. Fourth, Tanner Lawrence, Nueces County 4-H. Fifth, Calvin Wunderlich, Washington County 4-H. Sixth, Ethan Micklin, Grimes County 4-H. Seventh, Gabriella Rising, Guadalupe County 4-H. And 8th was Adeline Winthrode, Cal Allen FFA. Now in the ring on our Santa Gertrudis show is Class 9. There's 6 entries in Class 9, calved August 19th to July 17th, 2024. At the conclusion of the Santa Gertrudis show, we will take a 30-minute break before we start the Supreme Drive for the American Division. So anybody who has won a breed today, please make sure that you bring us your bio for the Grand Drive, and so that we can have those and read those off correctly.